Welcome back to the next section of Visual Studio and Docker training. In this section, we're going to cover write Docker files with command completion and querying Docker Hub. So we are actually going to write a Docker file, and we're going to see how the command completion is actually working, and we're going to query the Docker Hub. All right, let's head over to our GitHub repo, VS Code Docker training, and we're going to head down to number 4, power user mode, and this is lab number 5. So write Docker files with command completion. And this will show you exactly what we're doing in the lab. So now let's head over to our Visual Studio Code and exactly what the instructions say. We're going to go to the 04 power user directory and we're going to create a file named Dockerfile. Now you can do this either in the terminal or through the GUI, and I'm going to do it through the GUI so you can see how it's done. And you can see I selected 04 power user, and this button right here is add a new file, and we're going to call it Dockerfile. There you go. And you can see right away, Visual Studio Code then makes, let me move myself out of the way. There we go. So Visual Studio Code recognizes this file type as a Docker file, and you can see it gets its own logo and everything. So it's quite nice. Now, how actually the command completion works is when I type FR, and you can already see it's giving me the command completion as I'm typing. So you can see it tells me, do you mean from and base image? That's actually the format of the command. And this over here, if I click on the next, this arrow, it gives me further information about this command. So there's the variations of the command I can use. So from base image double point tag, from base image at digest, or if this doesn't satisfy my needs, I can actually go to the Docker documentation directly. It'll open up a new window here. And it takes me right to the Docker documentation for from. So it's quite nice because you can do this all through Visual Studio Code. Now, if we go back and I go FR, and there you go, it command completes, but if you do space, it fills in the actual command for you, but go back and go, okay, maybe just control space. It also brings up the command completion. So there's multiple ways to do it. So I'm going to go from, and then I'm going to type in my image name. And you can see now I get to the image name, it gives you more options. Like you can see here, if I want to make it platform ARM64, I can put that flag in. So there's different ways, and it provides you more details as you scroll down here. So super powerful, but I'm going to use an Alpine image, but we're going to type just the first few letters of the image name and then control space. And you can see now it brings up all the images that have ALP in the name. And it always brings up the official image first. So you can see it's with official brackets. If we click here, it gives you more details about the image itself. So how many stars and a description about the image. So I'm just going to click this, and you can click or tab it, and it just auto completes. Now we want to know the tag. So I'm going to double point. And here I can actually start do control space once again, and it's going to bring up all the tags for Alpine. So if I scroll through here, it shows me all the different tags available. And I'm going to go 3.1 control space, and let's go 3.11. Oh, let's go 3.12. So there you go, 3.12. And there you go. That's the first line that's always required in a Docker file, the from line. So now we've completed it with from Alpine 3.12. Now the next command I'm going to run. And again, it shows me all the parameters required for run. So run command parameter. And I know the command actually, so I'm going to go apk add no hash MySQL client. And then the final line, we're going to actually run this MySQL client. So we're going to go cm, I want to run the command, but I forgot exactly what it is. Control space, command executable. Tells you it provides defaults for executing the application within the container, gives me the information. And if I just click here, it fills it in for me, and I can just simply replace it with my command here. So simply, we wrote this Docker file. We wrote a MySQL Docker file in a couple lines of code, and it was easily achievable with command completion and querying Docker Hub. So that quick, you can write your own Docker files using the command completion and query. So we successfully wrote a Docker file. We created a Docker file from scratch. We wrote a from line, which we use command completion to actually tell us exactly what command it is. the available commands from, and then it linked us to the online documentation as well. And finally, we actually used the querying within the Dockerfile to actually query Docker Hub, and Docker Hub then returns the image name and tags available for that image. This is all done through just writing with the Docker extension. So, I mean, once you have the Docker extension installed, all this comes along with it. So join me in the next lab where we're going to take this to the next level and we're going to connect to Docker host using the Docker extension.